and welcome to another episode on the Move.Talk.Thrive podcast. Welcome back, Lizzy here, and we're back from holidays. Kids are back at school. Clinics are resuming to normal caseloads. Hallelujah. So I thought today would be a really good time for me to jump on and talk about our holiday program. So for me, I take a bit of a break on the holidays, spend some time with my kids, have a bit of downtime, usually do my quarterly planning, which is amazing. But at Kids Heart Pilates, we also run a holiday program, which has been such a beautiful service to provide in my pediatric business. So I thought now would be a really good time to share a little bit more information about it, how it's different from a regular holiday program, how we meet our therapy needs, and what it's like, I guess, from a business and clinician perspective. And I thought now's a really good time because we're just reviewing all our processes and everything after we just finished our holiday program. So with that being said, let's get stuck in today and talk about pediatric holiday programs and managing holidays in your pediatric practice.
We are child development obsessed business besties and mums, and we're here to spill all our secrets.
We have a combined 30 years experience working with children, and each episode we will bring you up-to-date research and evidence-based strategies to set your children up to thrive.
I'm Lizzy Dawson, Australian exercise physiologist.
I'm Emily Mackey, Australian speech pathologist,
And this is the Move.Talk.Thrive podcast.
All right, so I've just had a whole bunch of meetings about our holiday program and what went well, what didn't go so well, how we can improve next time, the frequently asked questions that pop up, loads of different things that have been discussed in our reflection around the holiday program. But I guess a good place to start would be to talk about why we created a holiday program to begin with. So I think it was 2024, around the spring holidays. So September holidays, my colleague and I were talking about how we were going to manage the holidays, because what we had seen is, well, traditionally we were working in early learning centers. So we had our early learning centers all stop during school holidays. So we had at least 10 weeks of the year where essentially the business wasn't operating. And then we moved into a more of an NDIS space, and we had some different clients coming through. And what we started to see was lower bookings and servicing during the holidays, really high cancellations during holidays. And of course, then half the business with the early learning centers or the kindergartens stopped during holidays as well. And it left us in a little bit of a hole in terms of what the team were doing and business income as well. So the other thing that I started to reflect upon when I started to think about running a holiday program was my kids at the time were in kindy and grade 1, and I dropped them to a holiday program in Brisbane. It was a sports holiday program, and it was down at one of the local schools. And Marley, my youngest, was in kindy, and I dropped him off and I was like, oh my goodness, am I going to see him ever again? This is nuts. There was like 100 kids. They were running all over the place. It was right next to a creek, and I was like, oh my gosh. And, granted, I have a little bit of anxiety, but I was just like, oh my gosh, this does not make me feel very comfortable. And there was probably 4 adults or coaches to the 100 kids. And I just was like, oh my gosh. And then I picked the kids up at the end of the day. Fortunately, Marley was there, and they were so exhausted, just absolutely fried, absolutely cooked in every sense. They were sunburned, they were exhausted. So Um, and then from then on, we couldn't actually put in that kindy age group to that particular holiday program. They were like, no longer taking anyone that hasn't been in prep. They have to have been in prep for half the year. So I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And I just thought back to our clients at Kids Heart Pilates and how these NDIS kids, or more complex kids, or even kids that get easily overwhelmed, or the younger age groups, there's nothing really for them during the holidays. So parents are at a bit of a sticky point in terms of what to do with their kids. And let's be honest, these kids with complex needs thrive off routine and need they need things to do and they need social interaction, and the parents need help because parents are all working. So the need was there, and I just thought it made me think. I think I actually literally dropped the kids off and drove to the clinic and was like, there is no way any of our more complex kids would survive in that setting. There is just no way that they would be able to go to that um, and, remain regulated and survive the day, because there was just the ratios were wrong. It was too overstimulating. There were too many kids. So it really got me thinking about providing something for children that potentially have complex needs, that maybe thrive in smaller groups, that would benefit from a therapeutic setting run by therapists, and those kids with the complex needs, or the younger kids as well. So we had already started the holiday program, but I was like, I'm going to really ramp this up. And what we saw over 2025 was pretty much selling out every single day of our holiday program, but we've learned a lot along the way. And so I thought, yeah, I will share this information because I know it can be, particularly the Christmas holidays, can be a really tricky time for service providers to provide services when families are away or they have a break, or they want to do, different things, I guess. And I know Emily and I have spoken about the importance of the continuing to service children and that continuing care. But yeah, we've talked about other strategies like doing your reports in school holidays and whatnot. But I think, finding and offering something different is a really good alternative to that. But there are definitely things that work and don't work in terms of running a holiday program. So let's go through what works, what the challenges of running a holiday program. So I think firstly, the physical space is something that needs consideration. So at Kids Heart Pilates, we've got 3 rooms in our clinic. We've got a big open space, and then we've got 2 smaller rooms, and then we've got an outdoor area. So we're looking at starting another holiday program from my other location, but I think I would need to find somewhere to do that because it's really important, I think, to have an outside area. I think that is a really important aspect of it and consideration. And another thing in terms of the space that popped up for us really early, it was in the second second program that we ran, and it was a parent who was not happy for, I can't remember what the reason was. Oh, I think they came in late and we were doing Pilates in the main room. So she kind of came in and we were fully booked. So there were a lot of kids in that space. And she actually rang me later and said, you don't have the required amount of space for that many children. There needs to be this many square meters per child. And unfortunately, we hadn't really thought of that. But fortunately, when I looked into it, we did have the required space. So I think that that's a really important aspect, is just making sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's in running these sorts of programs, making sure you have enough space, making sure you have enough outside space, making sure you have enough toilets, all of that sort of stuff from a regulation perspective. And there are a whole bunch of new regulations around keeping children safe as well. So making sure you are all over those regulations, I think, is really important. So the physical space is really important. And then the other challenge I think we had was making sure we had enough practitioners to run the program. So we obviously kindy age group ratios are 1 to 11. And then it drops down into those school age ranges. So in terms of legal requirements, we've got a maximum of 20 kids that we have in our space based on our space and what works well for us. But we have 4 practitioners in there for those 20 children. Because we don't legally, we don't need to have that, we can have less. But I think there's what is required and there's what works really well. And for us, we make sure that we have higher ratios for those more complex kids. So it's 1 to 4 for those more complex kids. And then it's 1 to, I think it's 8 we've got for our neurotypical children. So we make sure that we're tracking all of that, and we make sure we've got our ratios right for the number of kids we've got and the number of complex kids. So I think that that's really important, is that ratio, and making sure that your practitioners are comfortable and and they know what's happening and that it works for your team. So that is another, I guess it hasn't really been a challenge because we got onto that really quickly, but it's something that I'd really recommend working out for your team. Another challenge is running your normal sessions as well. So of course you don't have 100% of your normal sessions cancel. So and some of those will be based in the clinic. So it's about how do we manage, servicing the clients that are still around, plus the holiday program. So that's another staffing aspect I think that needs to be considered. So what we do is we run the holiday program for 4 days, and then we try to condense everyone's other normal sessions into the Wednesday or after the session. We do have some sessions during, and we have them in a different room, but we really need to be considered in allowing that to happen, because some kids will get overwhelmed or anxious or overstimulated if there's a lot of other kids that they need to walk through to get to that space. So I think that's really important. Another thing that came up for our team in our reflection this week was if we are continuing having other sessions in and around that, a team member coming and going can be really disruptive for kids. So ideally you want the same team for the entire day so that you've got that constant for those children, and they're aware of who's looking after them, and they kind of settle into the day. Now some practitioners might get sent home early, but I think there needs to be a constant couple of people throughout the day. When you have people coming and going, the team just expressed that that was quite disruptive for the children. So that was a really good learning for us. And then another thing that came up was really staying within our scope. So we do bushwalking, we go down to the park and do different sports, we do obstacle courses, but just making sure that we're exercise physiologists, so we make sure that we're doing a really active program. I think that it can get a little bit more complex in summer when it's really hot and the bushwalk will be really hot or going outside is really hot, but just making sure that we have got like a flow so that they're getting breaks. And yeah, you've got different activities you can be doing in different ways, but staying, I think, within your scope. And I think the thing that we've taken from that is that the team then feel more connected to what they're providing. It doesn't feel like they're doing something that's completely different or that it's, essentially vacation care. It feels very aligned to what you're doing. So that's something that we pulled out of this last holidays, and we're kind of restructuring for next holidays. So that we can just make sure that the team feel really aligned, because another challenge is just managing the energy of the team. So you're transitioning from doing back to back, or say consults in a day, 6 to 8 consults in a day, versus like you've got 20 kids in your care for 6 hours. So that's a very different vibe. And then you might even have clients after that. So I think managing the team energy is really, really important. One last thing, consideration is just making sure you understand the children that are coming into your care, that they are, particularly those complex ones, just knowing and understanding them. And what we do make sure, because we actually get a lot of new business through our holiday program, a lot of new complex kids, and those younger kids, like I said, that don't have the option to go to other programs come into our program new. So they're new to us, but we always make sure, particularly with the complex children, that they have had a one-on-one consult with one of our team, and that team member will be at the days that they're attending. What that means is that we do an initial consult with them, we get all their information, we make sure that we understand the complexities of what they experience and how they present and what triggers them and what they enjoy, just so that we can go into that feeling prepared. And also the child has someone familiar for them as well. So I think that's a really important aspect that we introduced very early on, to make sure that we knew and understood the children that were coming in. The amazing things that I think that this holiday program has presented, which I just touched on before, is a lot of new business comes in. It's not, there aren't loads of programs, although I think there might be more kind of popping up now. But I think that it's definitely a point of difference, and we do get business that translates over into our group programs or our one-on-one servicing from running the holiday program. I think also with your more complex clients that come and see you for one-on-one therapy and then come into the holiday program, it's really nice to be able to see them in a different, and I've talked about this recently, about transferring those clinical based outcomes into real life. Great time to practice this, because you see them throughout the day when they're hungry, when they're tired, when they're socializing, all of those sorts of things. So I think it's such a gold mine to fully get a really in-depth picture of what is going on for your clients. And that can then contribute to better planning, better outcomes, and better therapy for them in between those holiday programs. I think it's really good for the team. I think the team camaraderie and working as a team is amazing. And I think generally the team are all in one-on-one appointments, and we see each other in meetings and at lunch, but we don't often have a chance to learn from one another in real time. So I think it's a perfect opportunity for training, for peer-to-peer mentoring, for just team culture where you're working together and appreciating one another. So I think it's amazing for that as well. So yeah, so lots of gold nuggets in terms of the benefits of running it. And I feel like it's been amazing. It's been an amazing marketing tool for us. And it's just really nice to be able to provide a wholesome experience for children on the holidays when they might not have those opportunities elsewhere. So I feel like it's such an amazing thing that we have created. I adore it. I love marketing it. I love putting it out there. I love going in and seeing all the kids super happy. And then I love all the conversations that come from it in terms of what we can create and how we want to improve it, I think, as well. So we have mapped out a whole lot of stuff for June, July holidays. June, July was our busiest one last year. I think a lot more families stick around. So it's a good one to practice new things as well, because we'll most likely sell out ahead of time. We are looking at breaking the groups up. So having those um, 3 to 5s, and then like a 6 and 7, depending on the child, 3 to 12-year-olds. So having two different groups, two groups of 10, and separating them up. So two team members would look after each group and take them out and do different activities because their needs are quite different. So I'm looking forward to seeing that in action as well. But yeah, I have adored doing the holiday program. I hope this has opened your mind up to what it might look like and some opportunities for you. If you've got any questions, I would love to hear them. So feel free to DM us or to reach out. And don't forget to like, share, and review this lovely podcast. I hope, yeah, we're bringing you some gold nuggets. As always, if there's anything you want us to talk about, please let us know, put in some requests. We're always looking for new ideas. And we should see Em coming back soon as well, which I'm super excited about. We've started conversations on what it's going to look like. She's having a wonderfully busy time in Babyland with her third little baby, Isaac. So yeah, we should hear from her very, very soon. And I can't wait to have her back on to yeah, catch up properly. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in this week, and I will see you next week. Bye.